God's gift to technology. Like that's not me. That's not me at all.
Like
No
your
one,
technical skills you learned, you built them up over time, but it's not like you were born and you were like, I am JavaScript. Like,
yeah.
hey, I'm Nick Cosentino, and I'm a principal software engineering manager at Microsoft. Welcome to the first of many software engineering interviews that we're going to be doing here on DevLeader. Now, I had asked you viewers if you were interested in seeing some other types of content that would be layered on to the tutorials and the software engineering discussions that I have already on my channel on the regular cadence. One type of content that you voted for was software engineering interviews. So this is going to be the first one. I had an awesome first guest. Her name is Callie Buruchara. I hope I got that right, but Callie and I had an awesome conversation about one of the most important software engineering skills. This is going to be communication. And so many people gravitate towards all of these super technical skills when it comes to software engineering, like what language you need to pick and be an expert at, all the different tech stacks. But truly, one of the most important skills that you can work on as a software engineer, especially as you become more and more senior, is communication. The flow of this one will feel a little bit more like a podcast where Callie and I are going back and forth in conversation, but the format of these will evolve over time as I have different guests on. Remember to check the pinned comment and the description for more information, and enjoy this conversation with Callie. Okay, and so you're at New Relic, but what was what was the journey to New Relic?
Yeah, so I'm a career transitioner. So New
Okay.
Relic was actually my first software engineering full-time job.
Awesome.
Before that I was a high school English teacher, which is, a non sequitur a little bit. Um but yeah, so I was a teacher, and before that I ran international service projects. So, I just choose very non-connected careers over and over again, basically is the point. But yeah, I decided I wanted to leave teaching, and I went to a school called Launch School, which is definitely not a CS degree, and it's not really a boot camp either. It's like this weird, what would I call it? It's like a trade school for software engineering,
Okay.
except the exams are way harder than my master's degree. So, there's that. um, but yeah, so I did that for about 2 years and just paired me super well. And yeah, I landed a job at New Relic, and now I'm a senior. So that's wild. But
That's super cool. Yeah, and I love the career journeys that aren't like super traditional. I always think it's fascinating that people come into the industry with like very different backgrounds of skills, right? And I think some of the
Mhm.
things that we wanted to talk about today are certainly about that. It's not like you said, okay, for 30 years I'm going to grind like every language that's out there, every framework, and now I'm ready for software engineering. It was
Yeah.
a little bit different than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I also mentor a lot of people entering, like transitioning into software engineering, or sometimes it's their first job, but a lot of them they're transitioning into it. And I've really found that a lot of people struggle with the confidence to know that they'll do it, because
Right.
they're like, well, like you said, I don't know 30 languages, or I don't know the ins and outs of React like perfectly. And I'm like, well, literally no one does. Even the
Yeah.
person who works on React every day, they don't know how to do it. They don't know everything either. They learn something new. Like, oh, there's another weird thing about JavaScript/React. It's very weird. I'm like, yeah, there's always weird
Yeah.
stuff.
Keep that one in the bank for later. Yeah, like I've been using C# for over 15 years, and I asked someone at work in a different org to help me out with something that was on the side, and they sent me some code, and I was honestly, I think they work in like the .NET area, like for the
Mhm.
language part, and I was reading their code, and I'm like, I have like almost no idea what any of this stuff. It felt like a different language, and it was someone
Yeah.
that was just like in the weeds of it. I'm like, man, I've been doing this for like over half my life. Like, whoa, I don't even know what this is. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's not, people don't have to know that level of detail.
absolutely.
But the
Yeah.
confidence part is something I observe as well, right? Like it's
Mhm.
in so many different areas, it's almost like this barrier where people can't really quantify it, but they're like, I'm it's software engineering. I'm not good enough for that. Like,
Yeah.
is that sort of the thing that you experience with these people, that it's like very nebulous, like I just know that I'm not good enough, so why would I start kind of thing?
Yeah, and even like sometimes I'll challenge them on it. I'm like, "Okay, so what would it look like for you to be ready? Like just
Mm,
show me, so you're not there. So what would it look like?" And most of the time they're just like, just not this. I'm like, nope, not good enough. If you're not succeeding, what is the pattern of success? But that's the illogical nature of anxiety
Mhm.
is it it's all about what you don't have, and like how safety or how achieving is all unattainable to you. So it's all about the
Right.
not about how to get there. And so, I mean, I have an anxiety disorder, so I'm like, I have lots of experience with anxiety.
And
And
you recognize it and understand, like, when people are
yeah,
into these patterns, you're like, I know what's happening. So that's good for you to be able to identify it.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, my anxiety is equally illogical and annoying. I hear that. I get that. And so yeah, a lot of it is challenging that. And a lot of it also is even sharing my journey where I'm like, okay, describe to me how you see me. And they're like,
Sure.
well, you're this way, you're that way. And I just listen. I'm like, okay, do you think I know how to do this? Like, oh, for sure you know how to do that. I'm like, okay, do I know how to do this? They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, cool. So basically, none of what you said is true. I don't know how to do any of that.
Right.
like, I know how to do this pretty well. I learned this on the job. I used to know this. I forgot all of it. And I mean, Google and I are the closest of friends. I search everything all the time. So
Yep.
I think part of it is you have to help people see outside of themselves because that's the only life they're living, right? In just a very philosophical way. It's just the only thing
Yeah.
they can see. So what helped me a lot is honestly being an English teacher helped because being a teacher is one of the most it's the most overwhelmed I've ever felt in my life. Is like I'm responsible for the education of these 25 children. Are you sure? I don't know if I know what I'm
It's not
doing.
even just one person that you're helping, right? It's like I have a group of people, like, semester over semester, where you're like,
Yeah.
I'm part of their entire learning journey. I'm a stepping stone in that journey. Like, this is a huge impact in someone's life.
Yeah.
No
Even
question.
like even now, I don't know if my boss would appreciate this, but even now, like when I get super stressed at work, I have to remind myself, I'm like, you're not teaching anyone to read, Callie. You're not teaching them to write an essay. It's okay. You're just making money for rich people. Something about software. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. So I
Well, you
take
have
it
to set
seriously,
certain
but
boundaries, right? Like, that's, or else
yeah,
we would all go, lose our minds doing it. So,
yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think talking through it is really helpful just to challenge the anxiety and to help people see like, okay, you think I'm successful. Let me tell you, like I think I am successful, but your definition of it is all wrong. And let me tell you how I'm actually succeeding and what actually makes me excel.
right.
So
Yeah, the definition of success that you're experiencing is not like, yes, I've mastered every language. Yes, I know every
yeah,
technical detail
really not.
possible. Yes, I've never messed up on any code I've written. It's more like, yes, I have a job that I enjoy. Yes, I'm skilling up constantly. Yes, I'm learning. Yes, I'm being challenged. Like,
Yeah.
these are all good things, not I've mastered everything. And I think people see that mastery, or people that
Mhm.
are in career, and they're like, well, the only way that you're there is you must have mastered this, right? Like, that's how you got the job.
No.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. And it's wild too, like, there's so many parts of even the interview process that aren't a part of real life, like, nobody inverts binary trees, okay? That's not a thing. Maybe somebody
Yeah,
does in a back
they're
room.
it's very specific types of things.
Mhm.
This is one of my passions to talk about, is like the the huge focus on, and I don't mean to bash it, but things like lead code, right? Like,
Oh, hate lead
it's
code,
not,
personally.
yeah, like, I would never recommend someone practice lead code for being on the job. To
Yeah,
me, it just doesn't translate. That's not to say that there aren't roles and types of software that you're building where you're like, hey, like, these lead code problems for these types of optimizations would work really well here. Like, there's always going to be exceptions to it, but like, I've been doing this for a while, and I've never seen a lead code problem where I was like, oh man, thank God I knew that lead code problem. Um, but lead code is super helpful for interviewing. I don't
yeah,
like that, but
me
it
neither.
is. Like, I practiced lead code for my EM role, and
Mhm.
like, wasn't happy, but I'm like, I got to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a thing you just but I think that can also set people up to be like, this is my job. And I'm like, no, like my actual job is challenging, but it is way easier than the interview process. And it's way easier than even the school I went to, launch school, because
Right.
they prepared you to go through the interview process. And so I remember people would always ask me, like, oh, you have a new job. Like, how's it going? I'm like, honestly, it's like way easier than my
Mhm.
last 6 months of my life.
And I think personally, I think for you, it's probably easier because you have a set of skills that aren't the set of skills that everyone's chasing, right? I think
That's true.
everyone's chasing these super, super technical skills, trying to master those, which is good. Like you want to be able to constantly improve in this space. But I think you have a bit of a superpower that a lot of other people don't have that have been focused so long on how do I learn every JavaScript framework? How do I learn every language?
Mhm.
And that's communication. And I think
Yeah.
if I may assume, maybe like the teaching pathway for you probably helped a lot with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I owe a lot to teaching. And even, during the interview, so there's the behavioral interview, of course,
Right.
where you also need to prepare for it, need to have stories. And I remember the stories I told a few from when I built something in open source before I worked at New Relic. And so I talked about working on a team for that. But I also shared stories of when I ran an international service project in South India. And
Nothing to do
like,
with programming, right?
has nothing, but it has to do with working with people. And I remember I was interviewing at a very big company, and the EM was like blown away by my answer. He's like, "Wow, that's such a valuable lesson." I'm like, "Yeah, I learned that when I was 20, when I was running a trip." So yeah, there's so much that comes up, and even to this day, like I just don't want to name drop, but I'm still good
Yeah.
friends with the EM at that company. And every once in a while, like it just doesn't, the stars haven't aligned for us to work together. But every quarter or so, one of us will reach out and be like, what jobs do you have? Maybe I'll come and then, maybe we'll see. But it just hasn't worked out. But he's always said like what he loves about me is he's like, Callie, your emotional intelligence is off the charts. Like
Yep.
you can work with anyone, you can accomplish anything. And his words, not mine, but he's like, you can learn the tech. That's so easy to learn. But everything else about you, man, just please come work for me.
Yeah. And that's I think, a really key part, right? The tech. So everyone's focused on learning the tech. The reality is when it comes to learning tech, like the way that you learn, I think the most
Mhm.
optimal way is you spend the time doing it.
Yeah.
The best way to spend the time doing it is, I mean, building things like on the job. You're going to be doing these things. You will have to learn.
Yeah.
Um, the part that's really challenging is learning these other skills because a lot of it, like communication and like human skills, because a
Yeah.
lot of that is like you need to be practicing those interactions. And a lot of that, in my opinion, I don't have like a psychology background or anything like that, but I'm assuming that a lot of that stuff is formed over a long period of time, especially as you're growing up and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
suspect that a lot of that is, perhaps, I don't want to say ingrained, but like closer to being
Yeah.
ingrained than just let me just go pick up a book and now I'm an excellent communicator.
Yeah, and it's definitely more ingrained because we had to communicate far before we needed to learn JavaScript, right? So we've been communicating since we were born, basically.
Yeah.
And versus JavaScript, it's, maybe a few decades at most. But it's also, I feel like we're a lot more motivated to learn languages or frameworks. Like, hey, your manager comes to you and is like, I need you to on ramp onto Java because we're going to take a Kafka consumer. So we need you to figure that out. So it's very actionable and very like goal oriented
Good point.
versus communication. I mean, we have more opportunities to practice that, frankly, because we can do it inside and outside of work. But we're not as motivated because we're very like, well, this is just who I am. And like, this is just my opinion. This is just how I talk. And if someone has a
Yeah.
problem with it, it's a them thing. Versus if you don't know Java, you really can't blame that on someone else. Like, no, that's a you thing for sure. Versus communication's easier to offload on someone and say, well, they're the one that's wrong. And you're like, well, actually, it's you, but okay.
Yeah, this, and I really like this point, like this responsibility about communication. I don't think a lot of people take that responsibility.
No.
They, I'm say it's, well, let's frame it for work because this can obviously, communication happens in and outside of work, but at work you're working on something, you're working with colleagues or different teams, and when you're communicating with different people, if they're not getting it, a lot of the time it kind of feels like, well, I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe this person's not smart. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's their problem. Like
Hmm.
we a lot of the time don't want to take responsibility for it because we think how we're communicating is like that's how we communicate. That must be
Yeah.
the right way. There is no
Yeah.
other way. Their problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's actually one of the lessons that I shared in my other interview, where I am so grateful I learned this lesson early. Gosh, it hurt. But, and that is that, like, the majority of people we interact with, not only do they think their way of communicating is the best way, but they genuinely think it's the only way. Like, what rational human being would do anything besides what I'm doing? And if you're confused the way I'm communicating, you're just weird. Like, you're just off. There's just something off about you.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but we have to learn to adapt to people when we talk to them, because everyone is so different. And like, I kind of like to raise that sometimes when I gave someone on my team some pretty like direct and in-depth feedback, because I know that's what she likes. She likes direct and
Hmm.
in-depth. I mean, like, I wrote like a 1,000-word essay. Okay, like, it was long. Because like I knew she would want to know all the examples I could think of, the
Right.
impact of it. Like, I knew that's what she wanted because I just know her. And so she said near at the end, like, it's like, man, I just love the way you came and talked to me. And I'm like, well, I'm grateful you liked it. But like, I would hate if someone came to me like that. I would feel so attacked and feel like so destroyed. I'm just like, give me like a 10-word message, not like 1,000 words. And so,
Or imagine having someone dropping that on you, like without being prompted. They're just like, "Hey, by the way,
yeah.
I have some good feedback for you. Here you go." You'd be like, "Oh,
Yeah, because
I'm
I
never
would just
coming to work again."
exactly. I just feel so hurt that they didn't tell me like before, and they'd be like holding this in. But for
Right.
her, she doesn't like in passing things, because she's like, it's just, if it's one thing, just let it go. So she
Right.
likes established patterns. There's another person on my team who, yeah, would die if I ever did that to them. And they're more of like a, just do like a soft touch, like, hey, you did this, I did this. Can you not do that? Thanks so much. That's all they want. That's what I want too. But like, all of those people think that's the only way and that's the best way.
Right.
So those people clearly have tension sometimes because they're both talking their way versus I'm like, okay, who am I talking to? What do I need to say? All right, I need to adapt it this way. And they're like, wow, Callie just gets us so much. And I'm like, well, it takes work, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's this
customizable.
realization that people are different, right? Like the thing that you're providing ultimately is the same. It's feedback in this case,
Mhm.
right? Like people, hopefully people value feedback. I would say that people that don't value feedback, it's probably not that they don't, it's just that they haven't found something that feels like it, I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't hurt, is something that they can action. But I think people value it because people genuinely want to continue to improve. But that's
Yeah.
ultimately what you're providing for these individuals. But how you do it looks
Mhm.
very different. We
Oh,
see
yeah.
this in many ways, even recognition, right? Something I had a great HR leader early in my career, and she from like day one, because when I became an EM, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I basically just graduated and was coding, and they're like, we need an EM, and I'm like, I don't know. Uh, but one of the things that she told me very early on was like everything's situational.
Mm.
If I can teach you one thing, basically it's situational leadership. And
Mm.
one of the examples that sticks out to me when you're talking about feedback, the other thing is recognition.
Yep.
um, I learned very early on that people prefer to be recognized in different ways. So, for
Mhm.
example, a lot of time people will be like, you need to recognize people on your team and like, so go speak about them, right? Like,
Mhm.
if you're doing a presentation, make sure you're including their name or blast emails out. I'm like, I've worked with enough people to know now that like some people hate that.
Oh,
They
yes.
can't stand it. Like makes them want to crawl into a hole and never come into work again. But
Mhm.
what they do appreciate, send them a message. Hey, thanks so much. This is really awesome. Like you did great work.
Yeah.
Same thing that you're doing. You're giving them, gratitude. You're being thankful, recognizing them, but how you do it looks different. And it's a
Yeah.
communication thing, right? They value
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah, and even, like, as an EM, just a very well, you tell me if this is wrong, because 'cause I'm not an
Sure.
EM, is what occurs to me, what could be a good path is, like, just ask. Like,
Yeah.
ask your direct report, like, especially when you just start working with them and they're like, it's still the honeymoon phase, so you can, like, ask all these questions. Be like, "Hey, I know you're gonna do some great work, and I love to recognize people when they do that. What's the best way I can recognize that for you? I can do it this way, I can do it that way, I can just keep it in Slack and just tell you, because I'm part of the team. What are your thoughts? I wanna honor you the way that you like that." Just
Yeah.
Don't guess, just ask.
Absolutely. And it's like, so totally as an EM, yes, same thing for
Okay.
what keeps you engaged, right? Like I always tell people on my teams, like, not every day is going to be the most exciting work. There's going to be
Yeah.
days where you're like, man, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I wish I could change that. It's just like that's kind of the reality of life in general.
Mhm.
And overall, though, I want to make sure people have projects that they're working on that are challenging, engaging, that kind of thing. So overall, that's what I want. But remember, some days are going to be kind of crappy. So
Yeah.
I asked them, like, what is it that keeps you engaged? Like, what do you like? Some people will say, like, I just want really difficult challenges that I can overcome.
Mhm.
Other people will say the opposite, where they're like, if I have something that's like keeping me blocked, like, I just need something that I feel like I can be delivering code. Like, I want to
Mm.
feel like I'm adding value versus feeling stuck. So having that huge wall to kind of jump over, like, I want a smaller wall, but I also want to make sure I have like things that I can just, crank out value. So
Yeah.
this just comes back to like, yeah, asking questions. You don't need to be an EM to be in a position where you can ask people like how they prefer to be communicated with and interacted
Mhm.
with. Um, if you're new to a team and stuff and you're meeting people on the team, find a good time to bring it up in conversation and ask about like, hey, like you could say like, I like getting feedback this way. If you don't mind, like, could you do that for me? And hey, what about you? Like, if there was an opportunity for feedback, like how would you prefer that? I mean, finding a
Yeah.
natural way to do it, not just like springing it on someone, but
Yeah, yeah, ask them. No, I think that's so true. Because I love the point too that you don't have to be an EM, because I think like I I don't mean to like downplay my technical abilities. Like I think I'm technically great, but I'm not a savant or like a prodigy or like God's gift to technology. Like I'm not. That's not me. That's not me at
like
all. No
your
one.
technical skills you learned, you built them up over time, but it's not like you were born and you were like, I am JavaScript. Like
Yeah. I also didn't like, I'm not one of those engineers who like I didn't say like, "Oh yeah, I tinkered with Raspberry Pis when I was 4." Like, no,
sure.
I did not. I did break my mom's computer a few times accidentally, but I was exploring. It's fine. So sure, there was curiosity there, which I think is one of my skills, is insatiable curiosity, but it's not like I'm just so obsessed with tech. And so when I look back on how I even just became a senior in a very short amount of time, and I mean, New Relic is a big company, and being senior is like a big deal, but I think I delivered well technically, but I'm like, my biggest contribution during that time was my team didn't have a manager for about a year, and myself and a few others on the team helped lead. And I think the interpersonal ways that I led the team through some really difficult things, difficult like changing priorities, lots of changing leadership. People didn't want to
Mm.
work on stuff, people don't want to work together, and just like helping everyone navigate through that. I am so sure like that's one of the biggest reasons that my manager at the time was like, "Yeah, you're for sure ready for senior." So, it's I think a lot of times, of course, there's companies who prioritize other things, right? There's companies who are
Sure.
like, unless you can make these infrastructure decisions in your sleep, you cannot be a senior. Then, like, okay, whatever. And also, I don't know, I'm getting in a rabbit hole, but like titles are subjective and leveling
Sure.
is subjective. At the same time, after you're a junior or mid level, I was talking to some senior managers actually at my company a few weeks ago, and they said in promotion conversations, no one is talking about your technical abilities. No one. Because like all the managers get together and there's only so many promotions that can go out. And so no one's like, well, but my person really knows JavaScript. My person really knows Kubernetes. They're like, no, did you see how much she led that initiative? Did you
Hmm.
see how he handled when production went down and got all those people to work together? That's what they're talking about. And so we can become the even like the company's expert on Kubernetes, on JavaScript, and they're going to love having you as a senior until you die because you're not demonstrating something more that they can actually lean on. And that's a lot more than tech. It's your ability to communicate and work with people.
Yeah, absolutely. On the promotion conversations, for sure. And you touched on this too. Like, of course, any type of advice or whatever is going to look different at different places. Like,
Yeah.
there's we can't just generalize every single company. It's impossible. But
Yeah.
yeah, like even in my management career,
Mhm.
going into promotion conversations, I don't think there's been a time where it's been like for me, it's been a lot of .NET, right? It's not like,
Mhm.
oh, this person just knows so much about C sharp.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that's gonna be something that everyone is building up over time. I would say for more junior people, it might be something where we're like, hey,
Yeah.
this person is spending time ramping up in C sharp, like that might come up. But once you reach a certain point, it's like the conversation is about impact, and impact can look
Yep.
very different, right?
Mhm.
Impact is generally not a lot of something, because knowing something is not impact. If
Yeah.
you know something and you are sort of facilitating a whole bunch of different things because of your knowledge, like, sure, but again, we're not going to be saying, oh, it's because they know something. We would be
Yeah.
talking about the impact that you're leveraging that knowledge for.
Yeah.
So impact is really the focus, and that can absolutely look like leading technical initiatives. A lot of that has to do with how you're communicating to do it.
Mhm.
So I wanted to touch on that, saying yes, from my experience, it's 100%
Yeah.
in alignment. And something I think that's interesting about that is leading initiatives, right? And bringing it back to
Mhm.
communication. Like we were talking about this idea that your way to communicate isn't always like the right way. You have to be situational. But
Mhm.
why should people care about that? Right? Like
Yeah.
why do you care that the project manager on this other team that you're talking to, like why do you care that they understand what you're saying? Like isn't it
Yeah.
just their problem if they don't get it? Like you got better things to do. You got more JavaScript to go learn. Like what what's why should you care?
Nick, you're making me angry. Okay, you're triggering me with your question. um, so the basic answer is because that's the only way to get anything done. That is the heart of it. Is even if you are the best JavaScript practitioner in the universe, you have to work with other people to get stuff done because you don't talk directly to customers unless you're like a one person startup. Then sure, okay, you do everything.
And
But
yes, that's a good point, right? There again, anyone watching it might be like, hold on, I have a different opinion on this. Like, I don't work with anyone. It's like, well, yeah, okay,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
you
Well, if you're
win,
not working
sure.
with anyone, then you probably don't have a lot of money. So we're not talking to you. So, um, yeah. So I think being able to get anything done, because I think about right now, so on my team, right? So there's 6 people on my team. I also have a manager. There's a product manager. There's sort of an architect we have, and there's someone else who's like she's an honorary person on our team. She's like a stakeholder, but like a glorified stakeholder, I guess we'll call
Okay.
her. So those are all the people. And when we're getting stuff done, when we're choosing the work or we're implementing work, I talk to all those people to make sure I do the right work. So even right
Okay.
now, I'm implementing this big feature in one of our internal applications, and I'm pinging our glorified stakeholder like every day to be like, hey, I'm doing, I realize there's more decisions I need to make. And so I'm like, okay, should I do it this way or this way? Well, this way makes more sense to me, but maybe she'll want this way. And she's closer to the customers. So I could just assume and I could write all the code. I can write all the tests. I can push it to production and realize I'm wrong. And I just wasted weeks of my life. And
Right.
I'm about to waste more weeks fixing it. So I think even just that basic part, but then there's other things like you're not in charge. Unless you
Right.
are, in which case this is not for you. But
Sure.
like if you're not in charge, like I might have a really strong opinion, but at the end of the day, it's my manager's choice. I might wish it's my choice. I can maybe influence his choice, but it is his choice.
Right.
So when there's 3 top priority things and I go to him and say, okay, which of these 3 do you want me to do? Because first place only has place for one place. So which of these 3 things do you want me to do right now? Like he has to decide that. But the way I try to influence his decision, the way I receive information from him, the way I build up rapport with my manager so that I can influence decisions later and I compromise on things and I can be pitched for promotions or even how I word things. I'm sorry, I'm just going on a tangent now. But when I word things like there's 3 seniors on my team and maybe there's an initiative that we really want to do,
Right.
but it kind of only makes sense to software engineers. it doesn't really make like I can see how our manager would be like, that's low priority, and his
Maybe
boss.
some tech debt or something like that to go
Yeah,
address. Yeah.
exactly. It could be like, oh, we can just sweep that under the rug. And so I'm like, so now I have to figure out, how do I take what we need to do and translate it into the language of a business objective so that it makes sense to him and it makes sense to his boss. So all of them, and I'm not tricking them, I'm just telling them the truth in the way they need to hear it. Because if I just start,
We need to do the tech debt. Ooh, you're convinced. Oh, we should go do tech. Yeah, no,
right,
not like
exactly.
that.
So like if it's about, for us, we're like, well, we really want to make this more efficient, but for them it's like, hey, so this has risk of impacting customers and giving them corrupt data if we don't do this. It's like,
Right.
oh, well, freaking heck, we should fix that. So, yeah, you have to translate it like, okay, and we knew that. We just don't really care about that as much, but they do. So,
Right.
all of that is critical thinking about how someone likes something. There's also things, okay, I probably will take a breath after this. But there's also things like people just have different communication patterns. So you can have a manager who is very, I guess, for lack of a better term, emotionally intelligent. And you can tell them, like, hey, I'm really stressed about this. I'm really worried about this. You can also have a manager that does not care about your stress. They just need to know why it works. And so you put on your best game face and you're like, hey, this is going to hurt customers. This is going to make your boss mad. This is going to do this. And they're like, okay, we'll do that.
Lead
And
with
so,
data versus leading with emotions, depending on the audience.
right, exactly. And both of them are real. I am stressed and there is data, but depending on which one will actually sway you, I'll use that one. And so, but that all, and it's like, I can be a genius at JavaScript the whole time, but I won't even be able to touch the code itself because the manager's like, that sounds like a waste of time. Do this instead. And I'm like, yeah.
Right.
So, anyways.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff in there, and I really like that. I think the part about how you need to think about like tailoring to your audience, like comes up again, right? In particular, not just, it's almost like not even how you deliver it, but like the points you need to make, like your
Yes.
evidence, depending on the stakeholder that you're communicating with. Like you had a really good example of like a stakeholder that's like, they're going to lean into emotions because it, from their perspective, it's something they're going to value higher.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, I'm sure for these people, it's not like a concrete numeric data is not valuable, but they
Yeah.
recognize these other aspects as being important as well. And other
Mhm.
people, yeah, like you said, like they might go kind of like, yeah, like it sucks you got feelings, but like we have a business and like
Don't care.
we need data to like show. And
Yep.
for those types of people, like it's not like they're necessarily terrible people or something, but how they need to be able to make decisions can be a factor of who they have to go communicate that to. So
Yeah.
for example, they might even be like, yeah, I'm an emotionally intelligent person too, but like I need to go tell this person the data they need. So
And they don't
I'm
care about your
sorry about your
feelings.
experience,
Yeah.
but like where's the data? Because I have to go tell Joe over here and Joe
Mhm.
doesn't give a crap.
Nope, does not care. Joe does not care about your feelings.
So you have to, yeah, you really have to understand that. And I think like that's a skill, right?
Oh,
If
yeah.
you don't practice that, if you don't think about that being a real thing, like, and I love that you said too, it's not like you're tricking people. It's not like,
Yeah.
how do I manipulate people to like get anything I want? It's like, the way that this is framed is that we all are looking at things where we're like, we think that there's a high amount of value in this.
Mhm.
So we have everyone's going to have different perspectives about what a priority is,
Mhm.
what's most valuable. And if you believe in it, you want to be able to communicate that to other people so that they can try to get on the same page as you.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the goal when people do this is not to say, I must always be right. When you
Mhm.
go to do this type of communication, your goal should not be, yes, I got the manager to do exactly what I wanted. Because if that manager came back to you and said, I get that, like, thank you for the data,
Yeah.
here's some other information that you might not have had. And you
Yep.
go, oh crap,
Good to know.
I totally get why that other thing is a priority.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to tie this back, and I always try to latch onto tech debt things because it gets me going.
Oh.
Um,
Oh, yeah. I hear you. Let's do it.
And I love talking about tech debt because for 8 years of my career, I was a software engineer and a manager at the same time.
Oh,
I
gosh.
got to ride the line of we want to do all the tech debt, and look, we can't do all the tech debt. I got to
Yeah.
be both sides of it. And
Mm.
unfortunately, a lot of the code was my tech debt. So,
I'm
um,
the problem.
so I'm the problem. I want to be the solution, and I have to tell people we can't go solve it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the advice that especially from a lot of content creators, is just go fix. Don't ask for permission. Just go fix the tech debt.
Mm.
And I go, okay. Part of me gets it. Part of me gets that you want to, when you're touching code, leave it better than when you got there. I get it. Um, the other part of me is like, I think the only way that that works, and I think people make assumptions about this, is that you need to have clear alignment with your team, not just your peers, with your product owner, your manager.
Mhm.
What do you guys value? Because if you truly value just making sure that every variable is named perfectly, every method can't have more than 5 lines of logic in it. Like, if those are things that your team values more than anything else, spend the time cleaning the code all the way.
Yeah.
If you value delivering value to customers, maybe you want to change a little bit about how you prioritize.
Mhm.
And I think that like they call it like boy scouting, right? Could
Mhm.
be girl scouting or any other type
Yeah.
of scouting.
I'm kinda
Um,
scout.
yeah, scouting. I think that the concept is great, but I think the implementation only works well if everyone is aligned
Yeah.
on the value.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
one other thing that I want to add into this is that it's almost like the advice I'm seeing is like rebel, right? Like, don't ask for
Mhm.
permission. You're the software engineer, you know better. And I'm like, okay, you do know better about the code than the non-technical stakeholders. Like, it would be stupid to say otherwise.
Yeah.
But you know better about the code, you know better about the business priorities. And if
Mhm.
you constantly feel that you are always having to battle people about the code needs work because the tech that's so great, it's holding us back, it's terrible to work in, and you constantly feel like you're doing that and working with your product owner who is like, we don't care, like these features, these bug fixes have to go. If that's a never-ending battle, do you think that constantly being like, well, we're just gonna do what we want and sneak in the tech debt, like, is that gonna fix anything ever? Or do you think that might perhaps perpetuate the entire problem until the end of time?
Yeah.
So
Well,
communication, I feel like, is the solution there.
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And even like taking a step back is I've become a very direct person and just a very honest person. It gets me in trouble sometimes where people like just like apologize, don't ask for permission, and I'm like, no, I like to be upfront about stuff, and
Mhm.
it really bothers me when I can't be. And there's other problems too where I'm just thinking about when you're saying that there's a really key part of one of our GraphQL services that um two engineers that I work with, they both really want to refactor it, but if left to their own devices, they would both drastically do it differently.
Mhm.
And like one person, like person A would make it worse in the eyes of person B, and person B would make it worse in the eyes of person A. So I'm like, if one of them were to just go make a PR on that, that would not be good. That would cause so many problems on our team.
Right.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, like, what's the side effect of that? Like, it
Yeah.
is just costing more time.
Yeah.
And again, it's not to say that these people suggesting this, like, the motivation is wrong. I think the motivation is right. We want to have good code bases that we can continue to
Yeah.
work.
Absolutely.
Um, if you're touching anything, of course, if you can make it better, that's an ideal thing. But I think what people don't realize is that there are lots of, and maybe, I don't know, maybe people haven't had enough experiences on different teams, but
Mm.
there are plenty of teams where people don't have the alignment within the team.
Yeah.
I've worked
Oh
with
yeah.
engineers that will say they'll do this, and they're like, I just started refactoring it, and they go
Can't.
months. They go months refactoring it, and it's a rewrite, right? It's not
Yeah.
refactoring; it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
rewrite. And then if I talk to people about this, they're like, well, it's not refactoring, that's rewriting. So automatically your argument's out the window. Or that should have been caught and stand up. Like, why did someone let that happen? And I go, that's exactly right. This is exactly why I'm telling you this doesn't always work.
Yeah. That was
So
my point.
you're literally proving my point. So when you
Yeah.
start constraining the definitions of things to make a post about it,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, it's going to feel like perfectly artificial, like in this bubble, but in
Yeah.
reality, requires clear communication, requires
Mhm.
value alignment, requires understanding priorities, and like
Yeah.
that doesn't come for free.
Yeah. And we can't be rogue agents. Like it's just disrespectful, honestly. Like it's disrespectful to your colleagues, it's disrespectful to the company that employed you even if they're being silly with their priorities. Like at the end of the day, they're still in charge. And that's something like there are so many times that I mean, I'm a very opinionated person, so I disagree with people all the time. But there are plenty of times where even my company, I'm like, I disagree. I think you are hurting the business by doing it, but it is your
Right.
right to do that because you are in charge. I
Yeah.
disagree with
And
it, but yeah.
and you have all of the tools at your disposal if you're like, I don't agree with this, right? If you're like, I need to understand why.
Yeah.
You're an excellent communicator, right? You could go down the channels and go find the information you need. And eventually, if you meet with another person who's great at communicating, they might be able to say or frame it in a way where you're like, oh, like that is the value that you have decided is like a higher priority or has more weight to it.
Yeah.
Assuming that that does have more weight, then
Mhm.
yeah, like I could see why that would be a priority instead. And I
Right.
think a lot of the time it comes down to like weight of values
Yeah.
because people will say like this thing's a priority versus this one. And if you're doing like a pros and cons analysis about the different things we value, like a lot of the same things come up, but people disagree or they're not aware that other people value or place a higher weight on certain things,
Yeah.
right? And again, you got to communicate that.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great point too, because I think the default, which I mean, sometimes we can't control stuff. And so we just default to getting into small groups and like whining and complaining, which I mean, I do that. So I'm not blasting anyone. But
Sure, it's like a
like,
human thing to want to do that to like get
yeah.
it off your chest, right?
But if you really want to know something, is like there's a huge difference between talking to your manager's manager, and saying like, I really don't like that we're doing this. I really don't think we should. That's option A, right? Or you jump on a call with them and you say, hey, so I saw in dev announcements that we're now doing this priority. Honestly, I don't really understand it because I feel like that's at odds with this. Can you help me understand that? Because it's just not tracking for me. Like that's such
Yeah.
a respectful invitation. Even if you're like, I hate this, I hate the person, I hate everything, I want everyone to die. Like just keep it on the inside for now and just ask ask a respectful question. And you can learn so much more than if you're just like, I bet they're doing it because of this, and I bet this is happening because of this. Like you legit don't know, dude. You just don't know.
Yeah, and it's like it's funny, there's something that I always try to come back to, which is like best intentions, right? Um the people that you work with, I would hope in any organization, people aren't malicious, right? If
Yeah.
something seems malicious, I feel like it's because there's a lack of understanding. Um, I'm not trying to say that no one can be malicious, but it
There are
feels
mean people in the world, but yeah.
like statistically, the people that you're working with are probably not like, I can't wait to sabotage the company or can't wait to sabotage like Callie. Like I'm coming after Callie. Like
Yeah.
that's my life mission as a sabotager. So
Right.
if you're feeling like you're being sabotaged, like I just think that instead of defaulting to it, which is it can feel normal and natural to be like, oh, like it's all on me now. Like
Yeah.
try to park that feeling and be
Mm.
like, what's happening? Like, why do I feel this way? Like, what is it about this situation that's making me feel this way? And then go
Yeah.
seek to understand because otherwise you hyper focus on like all of the negative, it's all on you.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's generally not reality. So
Yeah. I say like
makes it weird.
the biggest thing that happens is people are maybe thoughtless of you. Like they're like, oh, I didn't think about how that would impact Callie,
Right.
maybe, but they're not like, yeah, like you said, today is a day to make Callie's life like be destroyed. Like
Yeah.
no one has the time for that.
Yeah, like I think that's almost like a selfish way to go through life is to
Oh,
be
it
like
is.
people want to
Yeah.
like attack me. It's like I think people got better things to
Yeah.
do.
They don't even remember your name. Honestly, they don't remember who you are. They don't. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
on this note, there was one more point I wanted to get to, and it's on code
Yeah.
reviews because I think that this is like a really
Mm.
important like sort of segue into this. But like we're talking about these emotional responses to things, and I think that code reviews, pull requests, they are like the perfect opportunity for things just to go wrong in this
Oh
regard.
yeah.
um,
Oh yeah.
I think people have different opinions about code reviews in the first place. Some people, like, more and more are saying, like, we don't even need code reviews. Like, what's the point?
Okay,
Like, you should
disagree
be
with
able to
that.
have static analysis do all the work for you. And like, part of me is like, sure, there's things like that that would help, but one of the huge benefits of code reviews in general is just to have insight and visibility, and it's another form of communicating, like,
Yeah,
what's going on.
absolutely.
Then we get the feedback part. And I think the
Yeah.
feedback part, back to communication, like, written communication is generally pretty terrible. And written
Mhm.
communication, when it's condensed into something tiny, is arguably like one of the worst ways, maybe, to communicate, maybe aside from just like blinking at each other. But so much room for just like so much room for misunderstanding, like tone of, like, it sounds kind of silly maybe to some people because they're not thinking about it, but tone of voice, like, you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
see someone's body language when, like, I talk with my hands a lot, like, you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
see someone's body language when they're leaving you comments.
Mhm.
And I think, and I'm going to shut up in just a moment, but I think one of the things that happens on code reviews is that you get feedback, and your code is a lot of the time like a translation of how your brain works,
Yeah.
right? So you write code, it's an algorithm, it's a flow of like, this is how I think. It's just in code now. Someone
Mhm.
comes along and they're like, this is wrong. And you're like, how do you not take that personally? Because it's
Oh,
literally
yeah.
my brain in code. So,
Yeah.
like,
How dare you?
you're mean.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, so many angles. I'm thinking so 3 different angles I'm thinking through is like there's a way to accept stuff more graciously, like however people mean it or they don't mean it, like to accept things better. And there's also ways to give comments better.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess I'll start with the first one of just like receiving it better. Um, Honestly, that's hard. And a lot of the way I do it is I there's a couple things I do internally and externally. So internally, sometimes someone will write a comment, and yeah, that's like that is my ego put in a PR. How dare you tell me I missed an edge case in my test? I will
Right.
destroy you. Do you know how many edge cases you've missed in your PRs?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
all these things, all
Let's go
this
look at your
history.
PRs, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Let's do a side by side comparison. Um, so something I try to do is there's one person on my team, especially there's a few, but there's one especially that I'm very very like good friends with. And so something I do in my head sometimes is when somebody writes critique on my PR, I say, if that person that I love, if she wrote this comment, would I be upset?
Ah,
And the
very
answer
cool.
is usually no. Because it's like, okay, so you're upset because it's this person, because you're salty about something else, or because they already hurt your feelings, or because you think you code better than them. But like, they still have a valid point. So if this person wrote it and it was a good point, it should still be a good point because of
Right.
them.
It's the
So
point itself, not the person giving it, and
yeah.
the framing that we can attach to, like, you're reading it in someone's voice and you're imagining them saying it to you, and um you can invent the tone of voice. You
Oh,
can,
sure
like,
can.
how people communicate. They might have been like, in their head they're reading your code review and they're like, hey, this is pretty awesome, like, oh, typo here, like, I'll just make sure they catch that. And then they
Yeah.
leave a one comment on the whole review that's like, fix this typo, and you're like, dude, literally, like, that's all you got out of this, right? Like, you're so picky, like, I'm never going to put you on a review again.
Literally,
And
it's
in
so
their head they
true.
were like, this code was awesome, I only found one tiny thing, like, great job, Callie.
Yeah.
And you just completely invented, like, I now
Yep, the
hate
whole
this
story.
person.
Hmm. You're like, man, do you know how many typos I found for your stuff? Your stuff
Yeah.
sucks. You're like, okay. But yeah,
I
you
let all
just
those
don't know.
typos go for you. Like, you're so mean.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think that's one part is I try to think of someone, or even if it's not someone on your team. If you're like, well, I hate everyone on my team. I'm like, okay, think of a nice person in the universe. And if they wrote the comment,
Right.
like, how
Because
would you
it's not
feel?
it's not supposed to be malicious. People aren't
Yeah.
attacking you. They want the code to be in a good spot. They might be trying to educate you as well, depending on your expertise in the area. Like, if there's new
Yeah.
people, you see this a lot with new people. New people seem to be very, like, they're hesitant because they're like, "Oh, I'm probably
Mhm.
going to get blasted on this pull
Yeah.
request." But they get all this feedback, and if you talk with them, they're like, "Yeah, it was kind of overwhelming, but I learned so much."
Oh
Like,
yeah.
because they're not in a position where they're yet like, I have to resent Joe because he caught the
Yeah.
typo. Like,
Yeah. Absolutely. And another thing that helps too sometimes is remember or even look at how this person reviews other people's PRs. Like
Right.
if this person's coming for your neck, maybe they come for everybody's neck. Like
Yeah, it's not
maybe
it's
that
not a personal thing.
yeah, that's just their thing is they destroy people's PR. So it's like logically, I mean emotionally, we'll get to that, but like logically there's nothing you can take personally. But if you're like, "Oh yeah, they let everyone through, but they come for your stuff," then yeah, maybe like have a word with them about that or ask your manager about it.
And as you said, have a word with them about it. If you just go to
Yeah.
the code review and you're like, okay, time for a comment battle, like I
Yeah.
can
No,
assume
comment
it's
battle's very bad.
probably not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, don't do that. And I think the last thing for just like taking it is it's funny because I think, you know, people on my team will tell me quite a bit because I give a lot of feedback and I receive a lot. And they'll say some of them have said to me like, "Man, Callie, I just don't know how you take feedback so well." And I'm like, it's a I'm kind of pretending. Like sometimes like I am a very very sensitive person. Very like if my husband heard them saying like, "Wow, you just take stuff so well," he'd be like, "Who are you talking about?" You're not talking about my wife.
Yeah, who else is in
So
this room that you're talking to?
yeah, you know a different Callie? Not my Callie. So like I'm very very sensitive, but I just choose to not act like it.
Right.
So when someone's like, when some, even if they're rude in tone, like, why would you do it this way? This makes no sense. I'm just like, okay, the heart of their message is they don't understand why I did something. So I say something like, I appreciate you raising that question. I did it because of this website said this, so that's what made me think, but I'm very open to a different way. Let me know your thoughts. Now, do I want to say that? No. I want to kill them.
Yeah,
But
it feels
I
terrible, right? But
yeah, but I'm choosing to behave the way I'm choosing to behave. And so we don't have to be like, wow, strong feeling must express. You don't. Literally you don't. And so I act like the person I desire to be, even when
mhm.
my feelings in that moment are like, oh man, I'm so mad I want to be mad at this person. But it's like, okay, Callie, but if this other person wrote it, this is how you would respond. So choose to respond that way. And I am in control of my actions, so I can do that. Sometimes it means I get feedback on a PR and I'm like, I'm let that one sit till tomorrow. We're gonna come back when I'm more level headed.
And that's totally okay, right? Like,
Yeah.
you kind of said like just because you have an emotional response doesn't mean like get to the keyboard and let the emotions out. Like
Yeah.
probably more often than not, we should be taking a moment to step back
Oh yeah.
because like it, our jobs should not be driven by emotions that way. And if you're
Yeah.
finding like that's how you're making decisions and communicating, like it might mean that you need a little bit more time to kind of sit back, process, get back to like a logical state and reflect on it
Yeah.
before moving forward.
And I think one other thing, which kind of feels like a left turn, but I just want to include another group of people because I think what's really important too about communication, about all these nuances and these rules is there are people for sure who are just, they're choosing to be jerks. Like that is just the path they have chosen for whatever reason. And but there's other people who like, I mean, they just don't know how to respond in a way that makes people feel happier or
Right.
makes and so like I'm neurodivergent in different ways. Like I have ADHD and I'm an HSP, but like I'm not neurodivergent in that way where there's the nuance sometimes of conversations, whether spoken or written, or like, why can't I just be direct? And I mean, I'm honestly team direct, but so many times you can't be. Like it just
Right.
doesn't go well for you or for them. And so I think a lot of it too is when we encounter these issues is not only should we talk to the person or talk to our manager or talk to a colleague, but like it is a skill. And so you might suck at it as much as you were so terrible at Ruby back in the day or C sharp. Like there was a time you didn't know how to declare a variable. Okay. That existed. And maybe that's where you're at with your soft skills or your social skills. And like I hate when people give up on themselves because they're like you said earlier, it just kind of feels like an innate thing. And they're like, well,
Yeah.
this is just me, is where I'm at. And I'm like, no, it's just your starting place. You can be so much
Yeah.
better.
Hey, when did you start working on these skills? Well, I haven't. And it's like,
Yeah. That's why you don't have it.
yeah, you were
Yeah.
starting at the beginning, and that's okay because we all have to, right?
Yeah. Cause I've worked with people on my team and like, it's funny because they'll come to me now, like certain people who just struggle with communicating in high stakes environments. And now like after meetings, they'll message me and they're like, did I come across like a total jerk in that meeting? Or I'm thinking about sending this message to our manager. Do you think it's worded well? And I'm like, that's what you do. Like even I do that. And so sometimes when I'm feeling super emotional, I'm really upset, or I don't know what to do. Like, I have sent so many emails to one of my friends named Brody, and I'm like, can you make this sound diplomatic? Because what I write is like, hey, I know you asked for this document, but you never gave me the other document, so I don't know who you think you are asking me for this document. Anyways, can you give it to me? And then Brody translates it, and he's like, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Wanted to follow up on this document. Really would like to do it for my commits this Thursday. Let me know if that's possible." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I should have written. That's fair."
Right.
So
Yeah.
we all need the help and the training too. So yeah,
No, that's super cool, and I definitely appreciate the having the person you can reach out to and get some, like a sounding board. I've definitely done that for some folks on my team,
nice.
where especially from different where English isn't first language for a couple of
Oh
people and
yeah,
they're communicating.
huge.
um as the third party, like watching a conversation and knowing the individuals more personally because of one-on-ones and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've watched conversations unfold where I see someone say something and I'm like, oh, like in my head I'm like, I wonder like how that's going to land. I know where they're coming from, and
yeah,
then I see it not land, and then I see the other person respond and I do the same thing where I'm like, I wonder how that's going to land. And I just kind of see it all unfold and I go,
yeah,
okay, we'll give it a moment and see if people kind of get on track from it. And like I've
yeah,
had, one-on-one conversations about that kind of stuff just to clear the air. And then going forward, sometimes I'll have these people reach out and they'll say like, hey, like I'm having this conversation on the side, like this is how I'm interpreting this email or this message. Like, could you
mhm.
maybe like
Help
kind
me.
of run by that with me and help me understand like if I'm getting it the same way? And I think
Yeah.
that's super cool because they're having this ability to start recognizing like I'm having a response to something and
Mhm.
I don't think it's how someone's intended it. So
Yeah.
I need to pause. And I think that's the very first step is like pause for a moment and you can decide what to do on that. Maybe for these individuals, if they just waited a few hours, they would, they'd come to their own answer without me. And in
Yeah.
these cases, I'm very glad they reached out, right? Like I want to help them with that kind of stuff. No one wants to be like, I feel like I can't do my job effectively because of communication, right? Like we don't want that to
Mhm.
be the barrier. And that's why it's important.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I love that you can be that for people, because I think again it feels so much easier to say why is my code not working versus why is my communication not working? Like
Yeah,
it's easier to separate it, and it's just easier to be like, yeah, everyone asks for help on that, but people don't ask for help on messages. But I'm like, we should all ask for help on messages, every single one of us.
absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's a key point. And on key points, I actually think there's a couple of things that I think are really awesome takeaways from this conversation. There's a lot. But I think two that stuck out to me, I really liked how you talked about when you're communicating with different stakeholders, like the framing of the value that they're looking
Mhm.
for.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes I've talked about this where I still frame it the other direction. I'm like, you want to, like, you're trying to sell it to them. So think about like who you're talking to. But I've almost not really framed it as like this person is trying to pull this information from you, right? Like they want to hear about the
Yeah.
emotional impact. They want to hear the data. Like I thought that was a good way to frame it. Definitely helped me. And I think the other thing, I talk about code reviews and communication a lot, but something that you mentioned that I don't think I bring up enough is like, if you're feeling emotional, take a moment. Like,
Mhm.
there is nothing wrong with just pausing and like you could sleep on it. That's probably better if it's not urgent.
Yeah.
Um, I often will tell people like, hey, like get on a call and talk it through. But even then, like it might be better to wait a little bit before you're not feeling like I can't wait to call this person and give them a piece of my mind, right? Like taking a moment, I think, can really help for kind of getting through the emotional part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I also really just loved, I mean, I love your burden for tech debt. I share that burden in life. But I think it's so true though, is that taking the time to communicate versus like, screw this, screw everyone, screw the team, I'm just going to go do it,
Right.
is like, we kind of fancy ourselves, I don't know, like this rogue agent or this Robin Hood or something, like I'm doing the good work. But it's like I mean, this is harsh, but you're frankly being a coward because you're not doing the hard work
Yeah.
of working with your team. And that's like, tech debt is obviously like it hurts us and it gets in the way of all these things, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and the coward's path is not the right path.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Hey, I said it. You can
Well,
blame me.
well, no, this has been really cool. So I definitely appreciate the time. Callie, I'm gonna get links and
Yeah,
stuff so I can put them into comments and put them on posts and stuff. But would
appreciate
you want
that.
to share with folks like where they can reach out to you? Because I know that you also do some coaching and stuff on the side.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I did coach on the side. So you've also, everyone's welcome to connect with me or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm just Callie Buruchara. There is only one because my name is very unique. It's just me. Um, and I also do coaching for, we talked about earlier is it's a skill. So right now I'm coaching different software engineers just to really know how to do the non-technical parts. I'm not going to code review your JavaScript, but whether it's reviewing your messages to your manager or your colleagues, or how to prioritize work, how to have hard conversations, how to even manage stress, like all these, if it doesn't relate to a coding language, the answer is yes. You can get help with
Awesome.
that. So you can reach out to my LinkedIn or go to majorityofwork.com, because working with people is the majority of work.
I like that. That's awesome.
Got to save a little tagline there. And then I guess the last thing is I'm launching a podcast as well, which I would love to have Nick on. Nick, if you can go on recording, that you can come onto my podcast. Yeah, and so that's where we'll also just be able to answer questions, interview people about soft skills, and because I feel like there's all this emphasis about how we need soft skills, how we need to work with people better, but I feel like there's a lack of, okay, cool, how the heck do I do that? And so
Right.
that's the whole point of everything, is not just telling you should do it, but actually equipping you with the practicals of how to do it. So that's a little
Yeah,
about me.
I think that's very important. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Callie. This is a great conversation, and
Yeah.
if your podcast is up and running, I'd love to be a guest. So we'll chat more about that.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nick. Appreciate it.
Cool.